this computer. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before I get started? All right. In that case, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I've got some PowerPoint slides that I'll walk through, and then I'll share my screen to show you the syllabus and walk through that. And that's basically what we're going to do on my end. Okay. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thanks guys. Yeah, obviously, given that this is so weird being remote, if you could, you know, let me know in the chat or by turning your mic on whenever I am soliciting feedback, just so I know I'm not, you know, talking into the void. Always helpful. I always appreciate that in live class, but now more than ever, pretty much. Welcome to Psych293, Introduction to Psychological Statistics. Again, my name is Dr. Christina Roylance, and I'm going to be your instructor for this sprint session over summer 2020. You can call me Dr. or Professor Roylance if that's your preference, but you can feel free to call me Christina. Don't think it offends me. It definitely doesn't. Please just don't call me Mrs. Roylance because that's not my name, but Christina is perfectly appropriate. So like I said, today is mostly going to approximate the first day of class. So I'm going to be introducing myself and mostly just walking through the syllabus. If you haven't read the syllabus in its entirety yet, I encourage you to do so. That is now currently available on Canvas. I don't have everything on the Canvas site perfectly up and running, but I've been getting it set up over the last 2 days or so. So the syllabus is definitely there and a lot of instructional materials are there. And so the syllabus is always a great place to start. But since I know a lot of people don't read the syllabus, I want to make sure to walk you through the really important aspects to it. I'm going to introduce your city training. If any of you have been a research assistant anywhere at Miami, you likely have already completed this. If you have, great. You don't really have to worry about this. This is an online ethics training module for anyone who wants to do research at Miami, which you guys will be doing. You'll be doing a research project over the course of this semester. And in order to do that, you need to complete this online ethics training. It's not particularly difficult. It just takes a little bit of time. So I want to make sure to introduce that to you so you know that it's on your radar, and you should plan to complete that this week. Like I said, I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms. I typically have a wee icebreaker that I like students to do at the end, where you basically get into small groups, you chat, try and find a commonality, bitch about classes, fears, ambivalences, existential crises, whatever. And then when you're done, basically I'll just end the breakout rooms and come back here and check in with me, and I can sort of get to know you guys. And then I'm going to make sure that you know what's on this week's to-do list. Again, this course is happening really fast. So even though I don't want to overwhelm you guys right off the bat, so I'm just recording who all is here. I don't want to overwhelm you guys right off the bat, so it's nothing particularly intense this week, but I want to make sure you know what you should plan to do this week so you have a sense of what you should have on your radar. So like I said, I want to introduce myself. We are in such a weird time right now where we feel very disconnected from everyone. So I always do this in the beginning of every class, as I introduce myself on like a personal note, so you know sort of who I am and where I'm coming from. And I feel like, to use your soulless corporate speak, now more than ever, I want to make sure you guys know that, you know, I'm a person here, and I'd like you to get to know me, and I'd like to get to know you guys, because I think that we don't want to lose sight of the fact that it is important to make those personal connections. And I always see teaching as a way to make those connections with students, and I don't want to make this be a soulless, disembodied sort of an experience. I don't want it to be like that. So who am I? Like I said, my name is Christina Roylance. Definitely feel free to call me Christina. I'm originally from the Boston area, right outside Boston in Newton, Massachusetts. So if you want to make fun of me for Tom Brady moving to play for the Bucks, feel free to do so. It does hurt. It does hurt. So I got my undergrad from New York University. I finished in 2010 with a major in psychology and minors in Spanish and philosophy, to give you a sense of what my sort of holistic interests are. Loved psychology. It was my major right from the get-go, never wavered. I just loved it. I love psychology. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. It's interesting. And so I'm happy to be here teaching you guys a little bit of psychology. Even though you might think this is a statistics class, it is grounded in how statistics are a tool for the completion of psychological science. So then, after taking a couple years off just to futz around New York City and be a bartender, I went back to graduate school at Fargo, North Dakota, at North Dakota State University. It was quite a culture shock, but there was a really cool program there working for an advisor who had a research background in what we call terror management theory. It's a sort of a wackadoodle theory in social psychology that I just thought was super interesting. And so I went to NDSU getting my master's and ultimately my PhD in 2017. I was offered the job at Miami the spring soon after I graduated, and so I've been here ever since as a visiting professor, meaning that my contracts do get renewed year to year. I'm technically contingent faculty, so I'm not on the tenure track, and you probably can't expect to see me around next year. That's just sort of the name of the game. But additionally, the nature of the visiting position is that I'm a very, very teaching focused person. That's pretty much all I spend my time and energy on. Research is not really, like my own personal research is not my focus. It's really teaching, putting out the best quality classes that I can, because that's really what they're paying me to be here for. I have the cutest dog in the world. There she is. Her name is Jade. That is her freshly shorn sometime around Christmas last year, with all of the groomers being shut down. She doesn't look like that right now, but I hope you guys like teeny tiny adorable puppies, because I do force Jade to make an appearance in many Zoom meetings. She is a true delight. She is, she's a little bit shy, but she's also a diva. She loves to boss me around. She is the boss of me, and she is the light of my life. She's the best. I love TV. Do you guys like TV? I like TV. If you have TV recommendations, I would love to hear them. My personal favorite television programs is going to be anything drag related. So I love RuPaul's Drag Race. If you watch Drag Race, let me know who you're rooting for in season 12. Would love to hear it. Additionally, Dragula, it's another drag competition show, but weirder. No idea. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's always a favorite. My personal cultural touchstone. I think that show's hilarious. Explorations in Narcissism. I just love it. Chris, my partner, and I, we've been watching Ozark the past few days, and we just made it through season 1. That show's crazy. Yeah, give me some recommendations along those lines. I would love to hear it. That's it. That's basically my introduction to myself. And now, if it's okay with you, we can probably move on to the things you guys actually care about. So we're going to just be discussing the course, looking at the syllabus, etc. So first off, you're going to be interacting with this course, well, exclusively online. You always interact with this course online quite a bit, but now that we are exclusively online, you're going to want to be able to navigate our course website. I trust you all have already been on the course website, because if you hadn't, there's no way you'd have this link. So I suppose any of you here have already been through the Canvas site. In terms of navigating the Canvas site, my recommendation, you can always visit the syllabus in the syllabus tab. It's housed as a Google document to enable me to make live changes without needing to repost a document. So when in doubt, if you have a question, it doesn't hurt to check the syllabus first. Then in terms of organization of course materials, I organize things using the modules. I know students tend to want to just go into files and look for whatever document you need. I use modules to organize everything together chronologically. So I organize everything week by week, and I put together all relevant materials. So for any particular assignment, it'll be in its relevant week with any instructional materials as well as the submission in the same place. So I recommend looking for everything using the modules. If you ever can't find something, it might be because, you know, it's a discussion board as opposed to a file. So if you're ever wondering where something is, or if you're looking for more clarity on any particular assignment or class component, check the modules. There's going to be everything there organized in a way that's meant to make as much sense as possible. Additionally, I interact with the class through announcements. Typically in a regular semester, I would be able to make announcements like before class. In this case, I'm not necessarily going to be able to do that. So I would assume I'm going to be leaning on announcements quite heavily to make sure that you guys are sort of kept up to date, kept up to speed. So keep an eye on announcements for sure. Like I said, the syllabus is a Google document. So I'm going to actually open that up and we can walk through that. Any questions so far? Doing okay? All right. So here we are in the syllabus. Like I said, there's a ton of information here, so definitely make sure to read it. It will give you a pretty solid sense of what we're going to have going on this semester. So information about me and my office hours. I've already established that I wanted to have some Friday afternoon office hours. I'm additionally thinking I might want to have some early morning office hours as well. I'm going to get into this later, but the lecture quiz for this week is mostly just going to be on some information about you guys, your preferences on project work, as well as what time zone you're in. The reason I'm like tripping on time zones is because like take this spring semester, for example, I had a lot of students who went back to China or elsewhere in Asia, and I had students who were back on the West Coast. So what that means is that I had to do a little bit of navigating to make sure that all students could interact with this class, because China, certain areas of China are 12 hours ahead of the time zone that I'm currently in, versus the West Coast is about three or 4 hours behind. I don't know exactly. So that means I want to make sure that I'm being very thoughtful to the fact that you guys are, hypothetically, you might be all over the world. And so I want to make sure that you can meet with me and there is a time that works. So if I have to have, 7 a.m. office hours, I can do that. That's fine. Happy to have any office hours by appointment as well. The text is going to be this Salkin statistics, or people who think they hate statistics. As you might be able to tell, Salkin, he's full of dad jokes. He's extremely corny, but the textbook's not bad. It's pretty good. I think it is pretty accessible, written in a way that's pretty easy to understand. If you want to get an out-of-date version, feel free to do so. Absolutely fine. Get a used version. If there's an online version that you can rent, do that. Whatever, it's fine. If it's an older edition, doesn't matter. Completely fine. In terms of when you should plan to get your hands on this, I would say as soon as possible, like hopefully by this weekend. If you don't have it, if it's going to take a long time to ship because of COVID or whatever else, just let me know. I can always scan chapters or give extensions as needed. I used to recommend the APA manual. It doesn't hurt to have. There's a new version out, and so a bunch of rules have changed. This is more so the purview of 294 at this point. We're going to cover APA, like statistical reporting in APA formatting, but I wouldn't trip on getting that. You'll use it later in 294, but for this course, I'm going to say, it's up to you. You're going to need a calculator for your exams. It does not need to be a TI-84, and it definitely shouldn't be your iPhone calculator, just a basic ass calculator where you can do multiplication, division, square root, exponents. Additionally, and this will be in the exam information that you would be able to access on Canvas, there's also a online calculator for the exams when they're programmed on Canvas. So you don't need a calculator for exams, but I did notice most students preferred having their physical calculator for exams as opposed to the one on their computer screen. Keep an eye out on Canvas for any outside readings. SPSS, we're going to talk a lot more about that, I think, tomorrow, but this is going to be our statistics software. The remote version of the class is going to present certain unique challenges because the license for SPSS that Miami has is for on-campus use, and I assume most of you are not on campus. The only way to access Miami's SPSS off campus is through a VPN. I assume that most of you are, tech savvy, but for those of you that don't know, VPN, or virtual private network, it basically lets you bypass certain security functions. I think I'm probably describing that wrong. Basically, all of that is to say that you will need to be able to enable the VPN before being able to use SPSS, assuming you are not on Miami's campus. We're going to cover how to do that. It can be a pain in the ass. We'll get it there. SPSS is free students. You will not have to pay for it as long as we can get that VPN working. Access to Microsoft Office. Most written submissions are going to need to be in .doc or .docx. If, for example, you complete your work in Google Documents, you basically would just need to go File, Download as .docx. Easy as that. Access to a computer. I mean, this has always been the case that pretty much you would need to have a computer to complete this class, and there are certain ones that you can loan out for class purposes at like the Miami main office. I'm assuming that everyone at this point has a laptop. I don't know how you would sign up for an online class without having one, but if you or any classmates you know of are having an issue with having a reliable computer access, let me know. But I feel like that would be an insurmountable struggle. But if you do know anyone who's having that struggle, let me know. I will force the psychology department to mail you a laptop. I don't know if I can promise that, but I just did. All right, again, do all this stuff on your own. Basically, I described the course. It's statistics for psychological sciences. I know you all took Stats 261. I assume most of you didn't like it. This is meant to be different. Some of the things you learn will be the same topic, right? Like I'm sure you did t-tests. I'm sure you did Pearson's R. I try and make it my own, and it is always grounded in application through psychological sciences, and every analysis we do is intended to be something that can be applied to your project, and you'll actually be able to do the analyses yourselves. All the examples I used when I'm not using goofy cultural TV examples are going to be examples of psychological variables in a way to help you understand that statistics is a tool for the process of doing psychology. Okay, so I have some notes here on the course format. Again, this is taking place completely online. I have never done a course online from the get-go, but I did do online the second half of the spring semester, and basically everything I tried worked out really well. So everything that I applied in the transition for 293 to online, I figured out ways to make it work. So I'm pretty confident that all of the strategies that I developed on the fly last March are going to work here. But I want to make sure that I have a lot of clear language about just exactly what you can expect. So this is a unique section because it's the sprint summer version, so it's going to happen very, very fast. So you want to make sure that you are staying engaged, day to day, week to week, ideally spending, maybe a couple hours a day on work associated with this course, because falling behind is going to accumulate fast. It's not to say that you need to dedicate 2 hours every day, but imagine that the 4 credit hours corresponds to approximately 8 hours a week, and think about how you would want to divvy up that time. And so think about if you fall behind by 2 weeks, how much work you're going to have to catch up on. So keep in mind that the pacing is a little bit unique. The content and the work of this semester is basically the same as a regular 293 semester, albeit maybe a couple things I dropped for time. So make sure that you have an understanding that this pacing does make it a bit unique. Additionally, it being online, I think makes it hard to stay engaged. Trust me when I tell you that motivation has been hard for me. This online crap sucks. I would much rather we could do this in person. So thinking about ways that you can stay engaged, and I'm trying to build that into the course, right? Weekly check-ins where you have to interact with me and tell me, what you've been up to. Certain deadlines that you have to meet week by week so that you have steady progression, as opposed to just boom, 6 weeks are over and you have these giant assignments you need to do. So keep in mind that those 2 factors, the fast pace and the online, present unique challenges, but I would really just recommend chipping away at this course, day to day, and think about how much time you can dedicate day to day. Beyond that, you can set your own schedule, right? You can pace when you want to consume lecture content, etc. But I do recommend, not letting yourself get too far behind. So typically this course is broken down into lecture meetings where I lecture and we do in-class discussions, etc., and labs where you work with SPSS and work on your project. That distinction is quite artificial because in the summer semester, I do both, and they're sort of interwoven with one another. So you will have some lecture content where I post PowerPoint slides covering the topic of the day, And as I did in the online portion of the spring semester, I put an audio lecture together with it and I posted on YouTube. So all of that stuff I'll just be posting on the relevant day. Again, I would encourage you to sort of try and stay caught up, but obviously if you skip consuming the lecture content one day and you have to watch 2 lectures the next day, it's kind of up to you. As long as you're, staying on course with due dates and everything, that's okay. But I will be trying to post those on pace. Lab work, so this is going to be, again, when you work with statistics software, some activities, and a lot of the work corresponding to your research project. So the quote-unquote lab work, again, is interwoven into the lecture material, but this is going to be really important stuff. So keep an eye on whenever there's lab content, and keep an eye on what you are expected to be accomplishing within those lab meetings. So in addition to having the sort of topic of the day, which might be a sort of a mix of pre-posted materials and meetings that we plan, I wanted to have this note on remote meetings and how we're going to have to interact through Zoom or whatever other program works for you semi-regularly. So for example, today, in my opinion, was a day that works a little bit better when you can see me do it live, because if you have questions on the syllabus, you can ask them. There's going to be certain topics where once I'm putting it together, I'm like, I really think a Zoom live meeting is going to be ideal. I'm going to try to give as much notice as possible, like at least a day's notice. Really, I can't necessarily expect everyone to be able to log on at specific times. So I'm going to do my best to put this information out in advance, and I encourage you to attend whenever I do go through the effort of doing a remote meeting, because typically it's something that I really think works better in this sort of a live format. So just keep an eye out on when I post links to Zoom meetings, and when we're getting going on the project, having these sorts of meetings with your group mates I think will be tremendously helpful. Again, if you like Zoom, use Zoom. If you like FaceTime, use FaceTime. We're doing this all online, so we just basically have to do whatever works. Okay, any questions before I get into assessment, the part you really care about? So far, so good? Can't tell if anyone was writing something in the chat.
Dr. Rollins?
Yep.
Yeah, I got a problem about the VPN thing. I never use it, sorry. So if I am near campus, like I'm still in Oxford, Ohio, so is that possible for me to not use that?
Yeah, if you just go anywhere on campus, you should be able to not use the VPN, and basically your network will pick up that you are on Miami's campus and the license should let you go through. So if any of you are in Oxford, yeah, if you feel like the VPN is too much of a pain in the ass, I'm going to try my best when we do this week to make sure you know exactly how to do the VPN, because the IT instructions are not perfect. But if you're in Oxford, yeah, you can save yourself a step, go sit somewhere on campus and work on your lab quiz. Yeah, totally. Good question. Okay, if there are no other questions, I know there's like a raise hand function. Like, I don't know how this works.
Yes, it does. You go to the you basically clip your name and you can raise your hand then.
Oh, party. So again, I'm going to try and keep an eye for like if anyone has any questions in the chat, but since I'm sharing my screen, it's a little bit hard to do. So if you do have a question, either, let me know after or turn on your mic. That would be easier for me. But if there are no questions at this point, shall we move on to assessment? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Yay. You're alive out there. All right. So the broadest breakdown of assessment is going to fall under this research project umbrella, exams, quizzes, and participation type things. But those are further broken down thusly. The research project, I like to break down to make sure that, again, it sort of comes together gradually with some big important assessments that culminate at the end of the semester. So what goes into the 40% of your grade that the research project will be responsible for? 10% of that is going to be the work you do along the way. The real 10% was the friends we made along the way. So what I mean by group work along the way, like you're going to get credit for submitting an initial project proposal next week. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to get credit as long as you submit it and it seems like you actually tried and followed the instructions. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for you to like put in the time and show me that you've been thinking about things. Then when you update your proposal, you'll get credit. Then when you program your survey, you'll get credit. Those sorts of things. So really just being engaged and looking week to week what the goals are. That 10% is going to come about naturally if you just remain engaged. The final paper, 15% of your grade, so that is a big chunk of your grade. But again, this is going to be the culmination of the work that you do all semester. So it's going to basically be a short write-up of the results that you get once you actually analyze your project data that you have collected. It's not a particularly long paper. The results are going to be 2 pages, maybe like a page, or for discussion, a page for graphics. It'll be like 4 or 5 pages, if that. It's not that bad. And then presentations. Oh, these are the best. So this is going to be the presentation correlate of your final paper, where basically in a very short presentation, 8 to 10 minutes, you explain to me what your project was and what you found. Again, it's the culmination of the work that you did all semester. So I really find that students always crush these presentations. Again, I had to adapt the course on the fly in the spring. And so we did these presentations over Zoom. They were great. Everybody crushed them. Honestly, if you just stayed engaged week to week and you let me help you with your project, the presentation is going to be, no sweat, as long as you basically do what you're supposed to do week to week and you practice a little bit. I was like so happy with how the presentations went, just last week when we did them for the spring. It's my favorite part of the semester, really, because it's just cool seeing you guys kind of take pride in what you accomplished over the course of the semester. Putting a research project together start to finish is something that I think you should be proud of. And so you do have that to look forward to. You just got to put the work in, and then you can really feel proud about what you achieved. But I wouldn't be concerned about that because, again, it is the culmination of the work you do all semester. And that basically does it for all of the grading associated with your research project. Any questions on that? I don't know if someone's typing in the chat. Okay, so this project is going to be collaborative. I'm going to be putting groups together based on some of your responses to your first upcoming lecture quiz. Your first lecture quiz is not going to be like on content. There are no wrong answers. You're just going to get credit for submitting it. Typically, everyone has to be in a group. We just put everyone into groups based on similar interests or whatever criteria we use. This semester is a little bit unique. So if you want to do this project by yourself, I'm going to say you can. Although I would probably not recommend doing that because it is more work than you think. And by and large, I think doing it in a group is better than doing it by yourself. But I understand that doing this course remotely is a little bit of a different beast, and it can be a pain in the ass to organize remote meetings when people are scattered all over the place. So it's going to be up to you. If you want to do this as an individual, I'm going to say you can. I'm going to talk about the quizzes in a second, but basically if you just complete the lecture quiz for this week, it will give me a sense of your preferences, and I'll be able to go from there, informing groups if you want to be in a group, or letting you be an individual if you want to be an individual. Okay, so then exams and quizzes, your more traditional components for the grading. Exams, there's going to be 3 of them, and they're going to happen every 2 weeks. Again, this shit is fast. So they're going to be every other Friday. Overall, the exams are going to be 30% of your grade. They're going to be mixed format of multiple choice, fill in the blank, computation, and short answer. They're going to be entirely online. Proctoria will be enabled for remote proctoring, so you need to be able to use Proctoria. You will be able to use a calculator. I'm going to give you all equations. You're not going to have to memorize any equations here. I'm going to give everyone extended time on these. I think 3 hours. I was giving everyone regular semester 2 hours. Since we're chunking this course into thirds as opposed to I normally chunk it into quarters with 4 exams, The exams are going to be slightly longer, so that's why I'm going to give you 3 hours for them. There's only going to be 3. Closed book. Again, remote proctoring will ensure that you're not doing anything sketchy. So then you've got quizzes. So you've got SPSS-based lab quizzes that are going to be 10% of your grade. Again, you're going to need to be able to get SPSS working on your device. These lab quizzes are going to be when, after we learn about a certain analysis, I actually give you a little mock data set and you run the analysis and you answer a few questions about it. There's going to be one for every analysis that we learn this semester. So I think there's 8 of those. So you're going to want to make sure that you get SPSS working. If you have issues with SPSS, let me know. We'll figure it out. Then these so-called lecture quizzes, I think I only programmed in 6 of these, so like 1 a week, I believe. I would have to double check. These are open book. They're on the content of the course. So for example, the one after this first one is probably going to cover like descriptive statistics. Again, open book, have your book open while you do it. These are untimed. And overall, all of those lecture quizzes will be 5% of your grade. This first lecture quiz, as I've alluded to, is not on any content. Just completing it, you will get full credit for it. The questions in this first lecture quiz, which is available to you now, is basically, do you prefer to do your project as an individual in a group? How would you like me to form your group? What are your research interests? And some information about time zones. Again, I'm tripping crazy on time zones just because I know there's going to be some students who are in different time zones than I am, and I want to be sensitive to that when planning groups. So that'll be it for exams and quizzes. So then this last 15% is going to be, I'm going to call it lecture participation, lab participation, and weekly check-ins. These are all slightly new. Well, besides lab activities, there's just 3 lab activity worksheets throughout the semester, so that's that 5%. This lecture participation is going to be a little bit different than normal, obviously, because this is remote. Basically, I'm just going to create weekly discussion boards that have certain prompts, and you're just going to, respond to the discussion prompts. You can chat with other students and sort of come up with your answers together, but you will have to submit your discussion post individually, and that will let me know that you're continuing to engage with lecture content. So there will be one for this week, right? Just basically by Friday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're just going to post on the discussion board just some of your thoughts in response to the prompts I leave. And then these weekly check-ins, again, this is completely new. And this is to ensure that, you're just continually progressing week to week. You're chipping away at the project. And this will also give you an opportunity to ask me any questions about anything that you struggled with over the course of the week. Obviously, this is, again, completely new, and I'm just doing this because I want to make sure that I'm incentivizing continued engagement, since it's hard to stay engaged in this online format. In order to do this, you can attend any of my weekly office hours. Again, I think I'm going to add a new early morning office hour, or you can email me to set up a separate Zoom meeting. I'm thinking that for all of you here now, again, I've been writing your names down. I'm worried I might have missed one, but I think I have everyone's name. I'll definitely check the names of everyone who's here before we all log off. I'm going to give everyone who's here credit for your first check-in. How's that sound? You're here. All right, and then here's your final grading breakdown, as well as a pie chart breakdown, because everybody loves pie charts. Okay. Chat. Sounds good. Oh, hey, thanks. That's where I got the chat. Okay. So any questions on grading assessment? I know it sounds like a lot. The reason I have so many different sources of grading is because I think it lets your grades sort of come together bit by bit, so that once we get to the end of the semester, it's not like a final paper and a final exam, and before you get that, you have no idea what your grade is. If you chip away at this class a little bit, day to day, week to week, your grade's going to be very stable by the end of 6 weeks, and you're not going to have to freak out because you think you're going to bomb a single test or a single paper. I like to minimize that. Okay? So again, any questions on assessment of any type? Okay, again, feel free to save any questions for the end. So I think I'll move on. I've got an extended diatribe on academic honesty. I'm actually going to say a little bit about this when I go back to my slides, but I do encourage you to read this in full. I have a lot of text devoted here to academic honesty because I want no one to do this. It's just such a pain in the ass. Just don't plagiarize. Don't cheat on your exams. It's not worth it. You can get an A on this class without doing that stuff. And it just is such a headache. Such a headache. It's a pain in the ass. Don't do it. Okay? Okay, so read that text in full. Again, I'm going to say a little bit more about academic integrity, specifically show you a little bit about Turnitin in just a second, but you are responsible for knowing all of this information because should you commit a violation, ignorance of the policy is no excuse. You are all technically expected to be familiar with the handbook clauses relating to academic integrity. So then I have a few other miscellaneous things here in the syllabus. Academic accommodations, if you need them, take them. I wouldn't anticipate, needing any accommodations for most assessments because most things are not timed. The only thing that is timed is the exam, and I'm giving everyone 3 hours. If there's anything else that you need, though, just let me know. Happy to accommodate everyone. Writing assistance. Someone have a question? No? Rogue microphone.
Dr. Rollins?
Yeah.
What do you think about the grammar mistakes? Like, are you gonna take points off for bad?
If there's like minor grammar mistakes, probably not. I mean, I would recommend proofreading, and if you're concerned about writing, you can get help from either the How Writing Center or the English Language Learning Writing Center. Minor grammatical mistakes, if it's still clear to me what you're trying to say, no. But I would just make sure that it's at least clear enough that I can understand. And just proofreading a couple of times should likely be sufficient, but really what I'm grading you on is the quality of your work and your thoughtfulness, not so much your writing style.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so typically my clause on late work is that I officially don't accept it, and I like always bend on that because I'm not a monster. Again, we're in some pretty messed up times, so I'm just gonna go ahead and be like, if you want an extension, just let me know. I was handing out extensions like candy this spring because it's just not a fight worth fighting. We're just going through a ton. I'm sure we're all stressed and anxious. Like I said, I've been having trouble staying motivated, so I completely understand if students are struggling. Just talk to me. I am not going to be an asshole about it. I understand that you all are, going through really unique circumstances. I know some of you are working, some of you are home and you need to help take care of your siblings, whatever it might be, just let me know. Again, try your best, try and let me know in advance, try and have an idea of when you're going to have the work done. Just don't play me, just try your best. I'm trusting you guys to try your best, so just don't, I don't know. Don't like blow off the course for 6 weeks and then in 6 weeks be like, how can I get an A? Like come on, I can't do anything about that. So the late work policy is that just ask me, just talk to me, and we'll figure it out, okay? And everyone's always so nervous for this class, right? You're all like, oh, I hate statistics, I'm bad at math. A, no, you're not bad at math. You're gonna realize you're actually just fine at math. You just had a bad math experience. People are like, oh, this class is so much work. No, you just, you work at it a little bit day to day. It's like, if you do the work day to day, then you're not going to be sitting there cramming for hours and hours for a final at the end. You can really do this gradually, and so you can make this course experience as painless as possible. Honestly, it does you no good to have just like a bad attitude about this. It does not, what is it they say? It doesn't make you happier, wealthier, prettier, skinnier, better in any way to like have a shit attitude. So just try and have a good attitude. I am gonna try my absolute best to make this class a good experience so that you can get this 293 requirement out the way and, try and have as good a time doing it as possible. So I'm really I always try and have a good attitude about this class, and I genuinely think that students get a lot out of it. So what I'm asking from you is just try and, not assume you're gonna hate it, because I think you're gonna not hate it as much as you think. Promise from me to you. All right, so now onto the calendar, right? I've got this basic week-to-week roadmap. These are the real general things that you should assume are the benchmarks you're gonna wanna hit on the project week to week. Again, each week you're just gonna do the next step. And if you do the next step, then you're gonna be on track to finish the step after. So this is the real basic breakdown. It is the best way to break down what is typically a 16-week endeavor into 6 weeks. I have taught over the summer before. I taught last summer and the summer before, and it works. Just keep your eye on the roadmap, keep your eye on the weekly goals, and it will get you through a successful project. Okay, so now onto the calendar itself. I'll just breeze through this again. I would check it out so that you kind of know what we have coming, due dates, etc. But the basic breakdown of this calendar is day of the week, date, topic, reading, and what is due. So you'll probably want to keep your eye on this due date column. So just for example, this week, you're going to want to submit this lecture quiz, right? So you should do that by tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. my time. If you don't know what 11:59 p.m. is my time, you just go to this converter and you compare whatever your time zone is to Cincinnati time, essentially, and you should be able to figure it out. Like I said, this first quiz, you're going to get full credit just for doing it. I just need to know how you want to approach your project. If you do want to do it as an individual, which like I said, it's up to you, and how you would like me to form your group. Historically, I form groups based on similar research interests. So there are a few questions dedicated to that. If there's any other criteria that you want me to place you in a group based on, if you want me to just throw a number in a number generator and put you together randomly, if there are other people who want to do that, I can do that. If you have, people that you're friends with, I'll put you guys together. Normally I don't do that this semester. Again, it's just the Wild West. I don't care. You can have it whatever way you want. If you want to be together with your friends because you know someone in this class, fine. If you want to be paired together with people that you know are in the same time zone, again, I know coordinating across time zones. I keep mentioning time zones, but I really don't want people to feel like they're alienated from this class because they're 12 hours ahead. I just really want to make sure that we can get the group set up in a way where this is doable. Feel me? Okay, so then if you look forward, right, you've got your first lab quiz due this week as well, but this first lab quiz is unique. It's just the completion of your city training. Okay, I'll introduce that to you in a little bit. It's the online ethics training. Once you complete it, you get a certificate. You're just going to upload it. You're going to get credit. And then, like I said, there's going to be these weekly check-ins for all of you here. I think there's like 11 of you. I'm going to make sure I have all of your names down, towards the end of this meeting. You guys will already have that credit. So again, congratulations, you already did that. And then discussion board post. I already prepared the discussion board for this week. The only topic from the content upcoming this week that I have discussion prompts for is going to be the theory data cycle, and that will be part of the lecture that I put together for tomorrow. So once I put that stuff together tomorrow, you'll have more information on the prompts, and you can just, again, individually or with some classmates, type up some of your thoughts and responses to the prompt and just post them on the discussion board, and you get credit for that. And so that's basically what you have coming up this week. Any questions on that? Okay, so just peruse the calendar at your leisure, read the syllabus, and you'll be in pretty good shape. All right. Any questions before I jump back into talking about Turnitin, city training, and then we get into breakout rooms?
I got one more question. Do you prefer us to send you emails through email or through Canvas?
I prefer email.
Okay.
The Canvas messages come to my email anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but I guess I prefer email because it keeps the entire email thread together as opposed to Canvas messages. Every time you send me a Canvas message, it starts a new email thread. So I would say email.
Got it.
Cool. All right, so let me hop back to my PowerPoint. Okay. So again, I just want to say a little bit more about academic honesty. Again, this is all the same language that I have in the syllabus. It's a lot. I would recommend you read it because, again, you are responsible for being aware of what all constitutes academic dishonesty. So plagiarism, cheating on exams, copying language in a paper that you got from a group mate when you weren't supposed to. If you're unclear on how assignments are set up and like what is expected of you in any particular assessment, let me know. Again, like I said in the syllabus, there's just a ton of information. So, you'll see there that the quizzes are open book, but the exams are not. So all of this language is available in the syllabus, but if you have any questions, please just let me know. Again, lots of information on the clause on academic honesty in the handbook and FAQ. And then I want to talk a little bit about Turnitin, because you are going to be writing a paper at the end of the semester. And you will be writing a paper individually. Despite the fact that some assignments are collaborative, you are not writing your final paper together with your group mates. You are responsible for your own writing. Yes, your paper is going to have similar content to your group mates, but you're going to write it on your own. Okay, so I'm guessing most of you have had assignments that had Turnitin enabled. It's a plagiarism detection software that basically flags any text in your submission that has overlap to any other source. And it shows me how much of your writing is exact, and it shows me where it's from. So, for example, Turnitin, when I have students submit papers, looks like this. For you, you would just see your submission and a little colorful tab generated next to your submission. I see a bunch of tabs that look like this, right? So there's no exact percentage that is a cutoff for what is or isn't academic honesty. I've had papers that were like 40%, and they were fine because the 40% was all citations and an appendix that contained like an entire pre-published scale that was properly cited. That was fine. I've had papers where it was like 5%, but it was like 2 exact sentences, and that was plagiarism. So don't think of it as a number. Think of it as just putting everything into your own words to give you a sense for what it looks like when I get these results, right? All of these tabs, except for one, appears to be the same color. The different colors indicate that you've reached certain percentage thresholds. So if, let's say, I open up this particular one, this was a final paper for a 400 level writing seminar I did a few years ago. I saw 21%, and based on all of the other submissions, I knew this was abnormally high. So I'm going to be looking at basically what's normal, and if you are a lot higher than that, I'm definitely going to take a look. I'm actually going to take a look at everyone's because I have to grade it. But if, for example, all of the rest of these papers were like 10% and this one's 21, I'm definitely going to be like, okay, what explains that? I would then open up, I would click this percentage here, and it would show me the full report. And it looks like this. You might think 21% doesn't sound that high, but here's what you actually see when you open it up, right? It flags things in different colors, indicating things from different sources. So like everything tagged as 1 with the red is from a single source. So if, for example, you just click where it says 4 there, positive emotion inducement before mental activity beneficially modulates cardiovascular responses. Yeah, that's plagiarism, right? The student's response is always going to be like, I don't know how to put it in my own words. There's a way to put it in your own words. Like, there's a difference between this caliber of writing and a student caliber of writing. I'm not looking for you to write like this. I'm looking for you to produce writing at your level that reflects your own thought and intellectual work, and this does not. You can't change the word work in the original to activity and call that paraphrasing. It's insufficient. That just shows that you know how to use a thesaurus. No, the answer to proper paraphrasing is to read whatever content you're referencing, put it away, and then start writing. You will notice that you are somehow magically capable of putting it into words that are vastly different than what you saw in the original. I don't care that it's slightly different. I don't care that it's not as fancy sounding. Just don't do this. It's not worth it. Just put it in your own writing. That's what I want to read. I don't want to read this because this is plagiarism and then I have to report you. And it is such a pain in the ass. I actually have had no academic dishonesty cases for the last 2 semesters, so let's keep this streak going, okay? I would like you all, wherever you are, to merely nod your head in agreement. I know I can't see you, but I would like you to do that for me. Sort of an implicit contract that we're making. So, can you not plagiarize? Are you shaking your head? I hope you are. All right, I swear I'm almost done talking. So I want to make sure that you have city training on your radar, because again, you should get that done by the due date stated in the calendar. So this is again an online ethics training. I'm imagining some of you might have already completed this if you were ever a research assistant. If so, just find your completion certificate and upload it and you will get credit for it. If you have not, here's what you do. I've got instructions available on Canvas that show you the link to where you need to go and walks you through the steps. So you're gonna need to go to the link, read up on what you're supposed to do, right? The link is here. You're gonna need to create a login. You can use your Miami credentials for this. Once you log in, there's going to be a series of steps and you're just going to have to walk through them. You need to make sure to select your organization affiliation as Miami, because if not, it's going to tell you that you are an independent learner and need to pay for something. You do not need to pay for anything. As long as you select your organization and you follow the steps 1 through 7 up there, by the end, you should have an available free course on human subjects research. It's going to look like this before you've started the course. Once you're at this stage, you just click here where it says Humans as Subjects IRB Basic Course. You'll be walked through a series of modules. There's a certain number that you have to complete, and then there's a certain number of elective ones where you have multiple choices and you just need to choose a certain amount. You'll know when you've finished because it'll give you that completion certificate. If you have any questions on city training, just let me know, but all the information is there and you should be able to walk through the steps pretty easily, but if you need any help, just let me know. Again, it's free, don't pay for anything. Okay, again, I've got tons of information available on how to do it. Once you have completed your city training, you're going to click on this lab quiz 1 here in this week 1 module, and you submit it and you'll get 10 points. Easy as that. Okay, like I said, I wanted to do an icebreaker. I'm sorry, I just want to. I always enjoy it. The fun part about being a student is getting to know your classmates, you know? It's like so lame if we would not have that opportunity just because we're online. I paid for this premium Zoom and I'm gonna use it. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put you into breakout rooms. I think there's like 11 of you here, so I'll probably set up 3, maybe 3 or 4, I'm not sure, to make sure that it's 3 to 4 people per room. Now what I'd like you guys to discuss is like just some interesting fun fact about yourself. See if you can find something you have in common. Don't say that you're all psych majors. You're most certainly the vast majority of you are psych majors. You know, keep it interesting. You all like pizza? You all like going to the beach? You all like, you know, going to Florida? I don't know, something like that. Let me get to know you and get to know each other. With any extra time that you have, bitch about classes. What's your least favorite previous class? I'm always happy to hear you guys bitch about Stats 261 because I honestly don't know who is the instructor for any of those sections, so I'm happy to help trash talk them with you, if that's what you want. And then any thoughts you have on this class, anything you're dreading or looking forward to. If you want to bitch about this class, I'd love to hear that too, because I will use that to try and make the class, again, as minimally painful as humanly possible. So I think I'll set up a timer for like 10 minutes and then I'll check in and see how you guys are doing. And once the breakout rooms are set to close, you'll get a notification that you have 60 seconds until close. And I think with that, I think I'm ready to get you guys into those breakout rooms and end this recording. Oh, except for this slide. Yeah, to-do list. I'm gonna post these slides to Canvas. Okay, any questions before I pop you guys into breakout rooms and let you just party? Feeling okay? I'm feeling ambivalent. All right, let's see. Where's my breakout rooms? Okay. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna put you guys into 3 breakout rooms and there'll be 3 people per room. And then again, I'll set a timer for 10 minutes and I'll just be checking in at around that time point to let you know that things are winding down. Any questions? You're gonna discuss commonalities and then just bitch about classes pretty much. All right, everybody do it. All right, see you in 10 minutes.